Lorie Out Loud.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Lorie Out Loud, the podcast where real talk meets real life, and we keep it all the way soulful, stylish, and smart. I'm your host, Lorie Jean Akanbi, and I'm so glad you're tuning in for episode 2 because we've got a colorful ride ahead. In today's fashion view, I'm taking you straight to the heart of Ghana as I break down one of my favorite looks: vibrant fabric, bold patterns, and a whole lot of meaning stitched into every thread. Then it's time to speak your mind. And this week, Nandi Hogue is bringing it with her lived experience and powerful conversation about her hair, the beauty, the struggle, the fascination, and the story she carries about her crown. And last but not least, diversity is a gift shines a well deserved spotlight on Lorie Strother, the farmer and owner of Chateau Coco in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. She's got wisdom, warmth, and a story you won't want to miss. So grab your tea, your coffee, or whatever makes you feel cozy, and let's get into it. This is Lorie Out Loud. Let's go.
Lorie Out Loud.
Hey, I'm stepping into the spotlight with today's fashion view, featuring a dress made just for me by the seamstress Margaret. Now, since then, I've lost a little weight. However, that does not take away from the beauty of this dress. These amazing, amazing sleeves and these useful pockets. The fabric of this dress has two separate West African wax batik designs. One design is the main bodice, and the other is the pockets and the piece that runs down the middle, and then also some features on the sleeves. This hand dyed batik fabric was created by Michael, again, just for me. I am pleased with the many colors of black, orange, brown, tan, and yellow featured within the fabric, along with the various designs that seems to give the fabric texture. Now, I capped this design off with bead jewelry made by Juliana. Her jewelry includes necklaces, bracelets, anklets, and waist beads. Juliana hand makes jewelry using various beads to include glass, such as this, plastic, such as the one that I have on, as well as local Ghanaian beads. Now, all of these artisans are located in Tema, Ghana, in Community 4. So if you're interested in any of their products or services, please email Lorie at LorieOutLoud.com. That's Lorie at LorieOutLoud.com. Now, my glasses are by VooGlam. That's VooGlam.com. That's spelled VOOGLAM.com. That concludes this episode of Fashion View. Until next time, I'm Lorie Jean Akanbi.
Lorie Out Loud.
Welcome to the very first episode of Speak Your Mind, the podcast segment where bold voices get heard and real conversations take center stage. I'm your host, Lorie Jean Akanbi. And every episode, I sit down with someone who's ready to speak their mind. No scripts, no filters, just honest talk for 15 minutes straight. Today, we're kicking things off with our guest Nandi, who's got something to say. And trust me, you'll want to hear it. Let's get into it. Welcome, Nandi. Tell us, what do you want to speak your mind on today?
So I want to talk about hair and specifically natural hair. Since middle school, or honestly, since my entire life, honestly, I've been, yeah, since my entire life, I've always had my natural hair out. I've never really put them in braids as much. Never done perms or anything or wigs. I've always had my natural hair out. And honestly, a lot of my life, because of that, when it came to my hair, I had a really like hard relationship with that. And I'm not gonna lie, there are times in my life where like I just truly hated my hair just because of how difficult it was to manage, especially my middle school years. Oh, I don't even want to think about those years. My hair, I used to tie it up in a ponytail, and I got it from my sister. Um, she's the one who inspired me. She still does the same old ponytail on top of her head. Most of them actually do. Now I'm thinking about it. But I did that for a long while, and I started noticing that it was actually like breaking out. Like I started getting like traction alopecia around like the crown or the brim of my hair. And so I stopped doing that. And in high school, I decided that, I wanted to actually learn how to do my hair instead of just, waking up in the morning, just put it in this messy bun and just like not caring about it, basically neglecting it. But since high school, I've been, doing all different kinds of hairstyles. And, I've noticed since then, whenever I do experiment with hairstyles, I'll have it curly sometimes, I'll have it straight. Today I have in my little space buns. But I've noticed that, yeah, people commonly call it little Minnie Mouse ears.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, since then, I've noticed how a lot of people comment on my hair since I've been experimenting, exploring it. And it's just the oddest thing, because when I was younger and like I just put my hair back, people really wouldn't comment on it. But a lot of people would comment on. I remember there's this one point in time I had in Twist. I had, I think it was a drama teacher at my school. He had stated how my hair, or that not my hair, that I looks like Whoopi Goldberg because my hair was in twists. And I was just like, I didn't know like what to say. I didn't know that was a compliment or like, because I don't know. Y'all know what Whoopi Goldberg looks like. If you don't, please look her up. I encourage you. I don't see any similarities, but I noticed that how whenever I do have certain hairstyles, people are like, "Oh, you look like such and such." Insert such and such. I've gotten Beyonce. I've gotten Zendaya, and I'm like, y'all, I want you to be serious right now. Like, you cannot tell me that Beyonce and Zendaya and we have some similarities, because we don't. But I don't know. I just think a lot of people, when they look at my hair, they think it's something so exotic. I'm commonly like, at my workplace, a lot of people will walk up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, is that your real hair? How did you do that?" Or whenever I have my curls out specifically, and me like wearing my curls, that's probably like my main. I like to do wash and goes a lot. That's like my go-to style. But a lot of people will walk up to me and they'll be like, "Wow, how did you do that?" They want to know my step and step like routine to it. And even like Black people, they'll walk up to me and be like, "Is that a wig? Like, where did you get it from?" Like, and they're trying to be nice about it, but like they're genuinely like curious. And it's just like, I
So
always
you have different, people from different walks of life and different ethnicities talking to you or coming to you regarding your hair.
Yes. Like, it does not matter like which side it's from. What was that?
Why do you think you get such, I guess, attention regarding your hair?
I would just say that it's just different. And in my eyes, it's not different. But I think coming from, if I was a white person,
you mean your hair is
yeah,
different.
my hair, it's different.
because it's natural
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's okay.
And then
And,
I think a lot of it is because it's very like, I think my hair is very versatile. You can do so many things with it. Like, you can probably do like any hairstyle. You can straighten it. You can have it in an afro. You can have it in its like defined curls. You can do literally anything with it. And I think that's like where the fascination really comes from. They see how I change my hair up a lot. And I change my hair up a lot because honestly, I get bored. I can spend like hours doing a hairstyle. And then the next day I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like sick of this. I'm going to straighten my hair. And then I'll spend like a couple hours doing that. But I just think that they're so fascinated with like how often I can like change it. And
so the versatility of
yeah,
it,
exactly.
by the versatility that
Yeah.
you have with your hair.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I'm at work, I wear it, and I wish I could bring up some pictures, but I remember this one time I had worn an afro. I mean, my hair was like fully combed out and everything. And I had gotten like so many diverse like comments from people saying, wow, your hair really brings me back to when I was in my day.
Okay.
Yes, they're like really bringing
So,
it back.
so they're
Yes.
reminiscing about a certain
Yes.
time to
Mind you,
them.
these are white people who are reminiscing. But then,
Okay.
you know, I'd get some white people who'd be like, oh, looks like you left the comb at home. And I'm like, oh,
Oh, they
bold,
make comments like that? You left the
bold.
at home.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh my God.
so why do you think I want to ask that question? Because that's a really direct question for someone, even if you did leave the comb at home. If you got my mama, my daddy, or someone that really is intimately known by me, why do you think people, and in this case you said it was a male, maybe a white man,
Yeah. It was
why do you
actually
think
two
people,
males.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think people feel like they can tell you left the comb at home?
Well, so you have to think about, these are comments that I'm getting at the workplace. And so like I can't really respond necessarily
Oh,
the
okay.
way that I want to. And I think that they know that, you know.
Oh, okay.
And so, and at work I'm known as being a really nice and cordial and cheery personality, you know.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But
okay.
a lot of people my personal life know me to be a very sassy individual. I
Yeah.
don't show that at work. I get like,
Oh, okay.
my voice goes up like 10 octaves higher, you know,
Okay.
when I
So
talk.
you think that they're saying that because they feel like they can get away with
Yeah,
saying
they're
whatever because
comfortable,
you are
and
in the workplace. Yeah.
yes, and I
Oh,
give
okay. Okay.
probably a too much of a welcoming vibe, honestly.
Oh,
Because,
okay.
you know,
Okay.
why else would you like feel comfortable saying that?
Yeah.
It's just, I just love like the irony of it, because like they're saying, oh, I left the comb at home, but like this is my hair combed out. So like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
like combing, when it comes to like combing, it really like, it can have a different effect on one's hair. Like white people, when they comb out their hair, it like brushes it down. When you comb out
Yes.
my hair, no,
It's
boom.
like this. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was that day. And so it was very interesting.
Oh, okay. So even the perception is different than, so a comb out for, your texture of hair is not something that's very neat and lays flat or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, which a white counterpart would experience if they combed their hair. It would
Yeah,
be,
exactly.
laid down and,
Mm-hmm.
as they maybe would characterize as neat or whatever.
Yeah.
So, okay. How do you, I mean, how do you feel when people interact with your hair in these various ways? I mean, I don't, how does it make you feel? I mean, uh, do you feel taken aback by it? Do you feel, I mean, a certain kind of way? You tell me. I'm
Yeah. I
just
mean,
trying to.
for the most part, with the comments that I get, I am
Mm-hmm.
definitely taken aback by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them are just like, it's just so like shocking to me. I have so
Mm-hmm.
many people who will come up to me, um, they'll say, "Hey, oh my god, I love your hair," and then before even asking, they're like in my scalp, in my roots, and I'm like, "Oh my god,
So they actually are touching it.
yes, yes." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" Or I'll have people they'll be like, "Is that your real hair?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then like they'll dig in my roots as if they're trying to fill the lace or something, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Y'all."
And
It's
without
so,
permission, they just
yeah, without permission. And I'm
yeah.
like, and I'm just like, they're like, hello?
Wow, you really are giving off nice vibes. Apparently,
Yes.
I mean,
Um,
wow.
yes. And I'm like, what in the world? And so
Mm-mm.
I don't know. I personally feel like I'm fine with people complimenting me on my hair. I mean, everyone enjoys a compliment, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
there's a point where it's just like, a little bit too much. Like when people bombard me with questions about like my hair care routine, like what products I use, and then obviously digging their fingers into my head. I mean, no one wants that, especially from some random person. I mean, who are
Yeah.
you?
I
Who are
mean,
you?
is it? I mean, who are these people that dig into your hair? Are they like women, men? Are they? I mean, what
I've
ethnicity
had,
are they? I mean, are they? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out what gives you the.
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know. I just never. I
I
mean,
mean,
first of all, it's someone's personal space, and so it's
yes,
like it's their
exactly.
body. So I mean, without you just knowing, if you don't know anyone, I'm just trying to figure out how do you get to the point where you can just dig in someone's hair. I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it either. I personally be
and
scared.
hair can be kind of nasty depending upon
No, exact. Look, I know for a
the
fact.
depending upon. I mean, how you take care of your hair. So if I don't know you, it's kind of like,
Exactly. Like, what if I had lice?
ooh,
I'm just digging
see,
up in there. Like, that's just insane to me. And then, like, on top of that, I'm the type of person who will, like, lather my hair up in products. And so, like, a
yeah,
lot of times my hair will be, like, drenched and, like, sticky. Even now, like, my hair, this little swoop I
yeah,
got going on, it's a little sticky. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, I remember there was this one time I had, like, I think she was a Latina woman. She
Mm.
had like put her like first of all her nails were so sharp, which kind of was like uncomfortable and like
Oh,
I don't know. But she had dug her hands into my scalp
mhm,
and this was I had done a wash and go and so my hair was still wet and
mhm.
I could see her like make a face. And like in
Oh
my
no,
head I
like
was like, that's what you get. Because who told you to do that? You have no one to blame but yourself. No, exactly. What is this sticky, gooey white stuff on my hand? Yes. Bet you want to do it again. Bet you want to do it again. Yep. So,
goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh boy,
yeah,
you
but
stick your hand. I mean, really, wow, that is so
hmm the
wow.
audacity.
Mm-mm-mm. Wow, wow, wow. Well, as we're wrapping up with this segment, Nandi, tell me, how do you hope people will interact with your hair? I mean, what do you hope uh, for the future and your hair? You know.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I just hope that, people can learn to be more, I would say, more thoughtful with their actions and with their words. Not saying that you can't comment on my hair, that's fine. But, maybe just keep it to a minimum. Just say, oh, I really like your hair. And then be saying things. And then, we depart. But yeah, I just don't want it to be like this, big deal. Just view me as someone who's just expressing themselves, just like everyone does. So, yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I think that's a good way to end, basically. So you just wanna be want
Yes.
people to be regarding your hair, and like you said, not just make it be a big deal. You know. just allow you to be expressive, and it's not a big deal. It's just hair after all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Nandi, thank you so much for taking the time to come to us and
Yes,
speak your
ma'am.
mind about your topic today, hair. And that's a wrap of Speak Your Mind. Big thanks to our guest, Nandi, for keeping it real and speaking your truth. If today's conversation sparks something in you, or if you got something on your mind, you know where to find us. I'm Lorie Akanbi, and I'll see you next time. Until then, keep speaking your mind.
Looking for soulful music to spice up your next celebration? Meet the dreaded Blues Lady, your go-to blues singer from Virginia, bringing heart, soul, and a whole lot of power to any event. Whether it's a house party, a birthday bash, or any special occasion, the dreaded Blues Lady will fill the room with music that touches the soul. From performing powerful blues and soul at your events to singing background vocals on your music tracks, she's got your musical needs covered for any project.
I can't be satisfied, and I just can't keep from crying.
Book the dreaded Blues Lady for your next event and bring the power of blues, soul, and inspiration to your celebration. Visit thedreadedblueslady.com or email info@dreadedblueslady.com today.
The Dreaded Blues Lady. Soulful music, powerful stories, unforgettable moments.
Just can't keep from crying.
Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Diversity is a Gift, where we celebrate the voices, journeys, and impact of those adding color, culture, and courage to the world. I'm your host, Lorie Jean Akanbi. Today, I'm honored to speak with Lorie Strother, a woman who is deeply rooted in both the land and her purpose. She's a farmer and beekeeper living in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, not just sourcing honey and growing food, but also growing legacy, community, and power. Whether you've ever planted a seed or just loved a good story about resilience and roots, you're in for something special. Let's dig in. Welcome, Lorie, to Diversity is a Gift. I'm glad to have you here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. So we're going to start it off here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, your family structure, and your education, if you don't mind.
So I grew up in Waynesboro, Virginia. It's a little town. Well, it may not be as little now. Very small town, in the mountains, Shenandoah Valley area. And it's a rural area. So, there's a bunch of farmland and stuff. And I will tell you, I couldn't wait to get away. I tried to apply for colleges that were outside of the area, but the universe had something different planned for me. So I ended up going to University of Virginia. I majored in architecture and urban planning. I also had a minor in studio art. And then from there, I ended up moving to Northern Virginia area with some friends from college. A lot of, for those that are unaware, a lot of students at the University of Virginia are from the Northern Virginia area. And so I moved in with a friend until I could get some work, basically. It was during the first recession. I think we may be going there again. I don't want to jinx us, but it was during the 2008 housing bubble. And what a great time to major in architecture because no one was hiring for architecture. So yeah, so I did that. I did some odds and ends jobs until I started working for an event management software company. And then I stayed there for several years and worked my way up as like a team lead. And then I was able to get a position with the federal government. And so I'm still working right now with the federal government in social media marketing.
Oh, great, great. Thank you for just sharing with us a little bit of information about yourself. And now, so, Lorie, who or what inspired you to become a farmer, and what or who continues to motivate you today?
I will say that I had asked my mom, who happens to be in the room right now, but I asked her permission to plant these cucumber seeds, and she told me no. So I threw them. She's like, I don't remember that. I was like, it's okay, Mom. But I threw them over the balcony, and we ended up having cucumbers. And I think the irony in this story is that my dad mows the grass around the house, and he would mow over Mom's flowers and everything, but he did not mow over the cucumbers. So we ended up having cucumbers that summer. And yeah, that was kind of like the wonder of, a child. And then after I graduated college, I kind of had a health scare. And so that got me back into growing food. The research that I found was that, just eating like raw foods, cutting anything that came in a package basically out of your diet would be helpful. And so I did that. And I became like super fit, went to the gym and all these great things. And that's what basically got me back on the growing trail. I also rented out apartments that had basement apartments that had areas where I could grow. And so usually they're the size of like one of those fold up tables that you use for events. And I would just grow my food in that. In containers. I would just say that I'm a terrible waterer. So containers aren't my friends. I like to grow in ground where Mother Nature can assist in taking care of the plants. Hence why I grow in raised beds here. And I also grow in the ground just because I'm not going to remember to water. But you can also use like timing systems. And what was the key was I had, I would say, a housemate at the time that told me that I didn't own the place. And that basically was like the kick in the ass that I needed to basically go house shop. And I think within 2 months, I had put an offer on my now current home where I grow full-time, where I grow part-time basically. And right now I think 24 raised beds. I have it's almost 5,000 square feet total of grow area. I'm on a half acre. And that includes the house, the driveway, and things like that. But yeah, so that's how I ended up getting started.
So just for clarification, your farm actually is at your home.
Yeah, it's something that I like grapple with telling people. I kind of pick and choose. It depends on what kind of vibe they give me at the farmer's market or when I meet them, whether or not I share that information. But I basically came to the conclusion that if I want my business to succeed, I have to tell people like, hey, this is my farm. It is open, but it's open by appointment only. People can't just show up. And just basically setting boundaries with people, like realistic boundaries.
Yes. Okay. And I mean, when I think about a farm, I don't think about a farm I think about large swaths of land. And so how are you able to, make that work? I mean, make it work with your neighbors, make it work with your locality, make it work, for yourself.
Yeah.
Basically, when you look outside your window, I mean, what are you seeing?
Well, I would say there are a lot of different moving parts because it's considered an urban farm. It is registered with the USDA as a farm.
Okay.
Yeah. So people can go and basically what's considered a farm, the definition of a farm with the USDA is the potential to make $1,000 a year selling food products. And so in my case, I sell again the honey, but I also sell greens and carrots and things like that. And so it's the potential to make $1,000 over the course of like a year. And so my first year, I didn't quite reach the $1,000 price point with produce, but with produce and honey, I met the price goal my very first year. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about.
Sorry. You asked about the neighbors. I totally forgot about that part.
Okay, go ahead.
But the neighbors was with the bees. I told the neighbor that was closest because he would be more affected. But there's a 10-foot buffer of bushes in his yard, of where the bees are located. But I did let him know, hey, I'm going to be getting bees, and he basically told me, I don't give a F. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, and then I also tried to create like a community camaraderie thing where after I get a honey harvest, I deliver like a small jar to all of the surrounding neighbors because the bees aren't staying in my yard. They're going to visit my yards. And so I at least, share in the bounty.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
That's good. So who do you farm with, or who is a part of your support system in your farming work?
Um, well, I will say that because of the county has a relationship with the USDA and like the local municipalities, I think
Yes.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but it's important to note the residential zoning laws. And so when I was looking for this house, it was zoned R, and I wanted chickens, and at the time, because of the size of the lots, under a half acre, I could not get chickens. But
Yes.
because of the counties, when you're registered as a farm, you're able to have chickens. And so
Mhm.
there's certain things that registering as an official farm allows you to do in the county. So again, there's different like levels and relationships that you build, and people can tell you that information. But if you have over
Wow.
half acre, you can have chickens.
Cool. Now, speaking of the chickens, how many chickens do you have, and I'm assuming you're producing eggs?
Yeah. So I actually have
And
some eggs right here.
okay.
Let's see if I can open the box. Missing one in
Ah.
here. But yeah, so there's some eggs here.
Oh.
Ooh, there we go.
Ah. They're very
They're
they're
different
very
colors.
nice. They're colorful.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Unlike what we normally see in the store, they're pretty uniform as far
yeah,
as the colors are concerned.
yeah. I have 11 chickens, and waiting on at least one more, and hopefully that's it for a while. Yeah. And then I also have my security
Wow,
dog.
11 chickens
Yeah, 11 chickens.
and a dog.
Yes, and a dog.
Oh my gosh.
Say
Now,
hi.
does he help with does he help with the chickens?
You know, sometimes he says hi. You see him wave? He said,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he does help with the chicken sometimes.
Oh,
All right, bud, you got to get down, okay?
now, are there any other support systems that you
Um,
utilize with
yeah,
your work as far as the farm is concerned?
yeah. So there's the Prince George's County Soil Conservation. They've been really helpful. I want to say, was it last summer? I got like a notice that my grass was too high, and it's in the area like right in front of the bees. You have to wear like a suit and all these things, and the grass
Yes.
to be dry because of the height of it. And there's all these different factors. And the time that they gave me the notice, I hadn't been off, and all these factors hadn't been met. So I hadn't had
Yes.
to mow the grass, but I did mow the rest of my yard. Yeah, so they've been really instrumental in being a great support system. Uh,
Yes.
and then I would also say that the neighbors have been really helpful. Like if I'm not at home, they know like who's supposed to be at the house and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And we have like a little neighborly group chat going on, so that's really helpful. Yeah,
Yes.
and then
Now,
I have a new guy that, well, I hired him. Basically, he works contract work, so based on his hourly. Um,
yes.
and he's been really helpful because I've been getting a lot done that I
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to do if basically he wasn't working here. So that's been really helpful. His name's
Oh,
Kevin.
okay. So you have it. So are you and he the only ones that are working to maintain your farm?
Well, right now we just started back volunteers, so we do have a volunteer schedule. So
Okay.
yeah. So we have
Hmm.
volunteers that come on Wednesday afternoons from 3:30 to 6. And then we also have beekeeping volunteers, which is not open right now, it's closed, but we do have beekeeping on Tuesdays and Fridays. And so most afternoons, I do have some type of farm activity going on. And hopefully we'll have
Ah.
that soon. Mhm.
So people are volunteering. So obviously they're helping, but I mean, what do you think motivates people to sign up to volunteer to help?
Well, I would say on the more extreme end, people are scared. They're like, I need to learn how to grow my own food because,
Oh, so
uh,
you're actually teaching them
yeah,
during the process.
yeah. So they're getting to know like different methods of, and again, because my farm is an urban farm, I'm doing a lot of little things, so I don't have a lot of one thing. And you'll notice that bigger farms can do a lot of the same thing. Um,
Hmm.
So if there's like rows and rows and rows of stuff, they have a lot of one thing. So I have rows of stuff. I have raised beds in one area. I have like fruit trees, and I have like one little fruit trees. So I do basically small amounts of individual types of things. And so going over planting methods, again, container gardening, because there are some plants that are in containers here, like mint growing in a container, just because it will take over everything. But yeah, so a lot of the people that come, they're interested in learning. So on this last Wednesday, we planted seeds, but we planted like, I don't know, 6 or 7 trays, and it would have taken me way more time to plant that number of trays. So I'm grateful for the volunteers helping out too.
Okay. So who do you hope to impact through your work, as far as community-wise or generationally? I mean, do you have any such hopes even?
Well, right now, I basically am targeting African Americans. That's not to say that it's not open to everyone.
Yes.
But I know that not a lot of us have had the experience or even exposure to, like, for instance, beekeeping. And so in the past, we've hosted 2 kids workshops where we've had about 50 attendees that come, and where the kids actually put on the suit, they put on the full gear, and they go into the actual hive. They get to take pictures with the bee frame, and it was a really nice event. But they learn about pollinators and how they impact our environment. Yeah, so just things like that are really that really impact the community. So there's just I'm interested in. And so eventually, once we get our classroom, we have an indoor, it's actually my sunroom, but it's an indoor classroom where I'm trying to basically make that space available when it's too cold outside to do farm education, or where it's too hot outside to do farm education, or raining.
Yeah.
So just continuing the education, not when the weather is appropriate, but whenever, with remodeling the interior sunroom.
Yeah. Now, tell me, did you just start the farming and then do the beekeeping, like, all together, or were there separate paths to the farming and then subsequently the beekeeping, or vice versa? Tell us about how you got to, you talked about the farming, but I think there's a gap. Like, how did you get to the beekeeping?
Well, I think it's 2017. I actually had just gone out from a night being out, and the next morning I had signed up for this bokashi composting class. And basically bokashi composting is composting in your house. And so I showed up there, and they had bees, and we were like, oh, bees, I'm excited to learn about them, but I didn't sign up for that class, right? And so the guy was like, would you guys be interested in going into the hives and going into the area? And I was like, yeah, like, sign me up. So we put on this the veil, but they only put on the veil. And after years after working with the bees and the beehives, I probably would have put on way more stuff.
Yes.
It's not that they're like aggressive or anything. It's just I don't like getting stung. That's just not for me. But I put on the veil, and we went in there, and they were pretty just chill, as long as you weren't in the hive hurting them and whatnot. And same thing applies at Chateau Coco. Most of the bees are pretty chill, unless you're in there like purposely harming them or moving stuff around and basically hurting the bees when you're trying to do an inspection. So a lot of times they're not aggressive creatures, or if you get too close to the beehive. So that was the first time that I saw inside the bees, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have bees when I get my own house. And at this time I was renting at a place in Centerville, renting an apartment where I was just growing. And then the second time is at my job. I had started a community garden, and the building actually has their own bees. It was started by someone else. And I was like, well, can we move them to our garden? Because I need some more tomatoes. But this was before I was actually in the hives and stuff. And so the guy, the maintenance guy, was like, well, who's going to take care of the bees? And I just was like, not me. No, this is not me. And then if self back then could see self now. But I was like, no, I'm not. And so they're basically next to the community garden that I started at my place.
So, I mean, do you just get into, so you had these 2 experiences. How do you
And so I was reintroduced to the bees from Clubhouse. I don't know if you guys remember in 2020, everybody was stuck at home. We try to forget.
Yes, during COVID. Yes.
We're stuck at home. And while we were at home, a lot of listening to Clubhouse was a thing. And so there's this one lady in there. She had started a group. I think her group is called Beekeeping While Black. I actually started my group too. It's called the Comb Collective. It's on Facebook.
What is it called again? I'm sorry, I didn't hear
The
you.
Comb Collective.
The Comb Collective.
Comb Collective.
Comb
so
like honeycomb.
honeycomb,
Or
comb like Afro pit comb.
oh, okay. So a play on words. What is it? A double entendre.
Yeah. So it's, but she was talking in the group, talking about beekeeping, and she was like, you can look up your local beekeeping group and they have classes. So I actually went and took her advice. I went and looked up online how to looked online, where's the beekeeping group near me? So I looked at the town that I live in, Upper Marlboro, and then I was like beekeeping association or beekeeping alliance, and so out came the one group. And then as soon as the opportunity to take the class came on, I took the class with my mom actually. So we both took it, and we took it virtually. And then I signed up for a bee mentor, and so the bee mentor, I worked with her for an entire year before even purchasing bees, and so that happened in 2021. Yes. So that was the time frame between, okay, I purchased my home in 2020, and in 2021 I had bees. And at the time I only had one. I had one beehive, and now I have 8. So
8 beehives.
8. I have 8, and then we probably, depending on how well they perform, how well they do, we may consolidate going into winter.
Wow. Now, does that take up a lot of space? I mean, 8 beehives. I mean, 8 is not a huge number, but it's more than one. And so when you talk about you're in a residential area in your own, is it a lot, or tell us about it?
You just have to think about the placement of where the bees are and who's going to be in that space. And so right now the bees are parallel with the main road. And so people do walk by, but the bees are flying parallel to individuals, like not into individuals. And so,
okay.
You can also control their flight path by putting like an obstacle in front. So in the case of the neighbors, he has 10 foot of bushes. And so they don't typically go into his yard. They will fly up and over. So by the time that they are in his yard, they're in the air and none of us know.
Wow. So we're really talking about a bee runway.
Yeah, I call it the bee port.
Do you call it the bee what?
The bee port, like you're at the airport.
The bee port. Oh, like the airport.
Yeah, I call it the bee port because they're all flying in like flights. And then I'd say, and then the way I teach the kids is like, okay, we're at the bee port, and when you're at the bee port, you need to go through what? And they're like, security. And so, and your security is your bee suit, so you can't go into the bee port without your bee suit.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's basically the spiel I give the kids.
Yeah. Now, the name of your farm is Chateau Coco, in case someone hadn't picked that up. Now, how'd you come about the name?
Well, I wanted something to be like fancy because this house, it's actually the name of my house, and the house will host different activities eventually. But right now, phase 1 is just the farm. And so, I named it Chateau Coco because of the trim in the house. Is this deep chocolate trim, and it's from the 1920s, and it has transom windows, and it has like pocket doors. And so the name of it's very, I don't know, if I were to build a house like this nowadays, it would be like, okay, this is like a mini castle basically. It's exterior. So I was like, okay, Chateau, and then Coco, giving a nod to the color of the wood that's in the house. It's like it's a dark brown color.
And then it kind of, I mean, it jives with who you are. You're a Black woman. So it's kind of like, so I think when people first maybe come across that name, I'm not sure, but
they're like,
they probably think, oh, you named it.
They're like, are you Coco? Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Coco. I'm like, no, I'm Darylyn.
Yeah.
Coco was the name of my house.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about the farm, and you talked about the bees. Tell us what type of And you talked about the chickens. So you got 11 chickens. The chickens are producing eggs. What types of crops do you raise on your farm?
So right now, I would say the last 2 years I've been experimenting to see what grows really well. So garlic grew really well. It also stores really well. Right now, the farm, because it's a micro farm, it's a really small urban farm, we don't really have the resources to store a lot of food for a long time. You need like a freezer or a separate fridge. And right now, we just don't have the infrastructure to do that. And so a lot of the crops that I'm choosing are really strategic. So right now I have maybe like 100 to 200 bulbs of garlic growing. Collard greens sell really well. It doesn't matter what type of year it is.
Okay.
I also have some onions in the ground as well, and those store really well as well. And then I also have mustard greens and Swiss chard. And what I like about Swiss chard is that it typically doesn't bolt in the heat. For those that aren't growers, bolt means it goes to seed. It produces seed, and then it changes the flavor of the leaves. So then you can't harvest the leaves anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. And so with Swiss chard, you can harvest it typically year round, at least for 2 years before it decides to go to bolt. I also sell like seeds for the plants that I'm growing, and I only get the best ones. Yeah, and then I'm trying to think what else I have in the ground. I have some carrots right now, but
Yeah, some what?
Carrots.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm trying to figure out how well they do. So this is my first time growing carrots, and also beets in the ground. Same thing with beets.
Okay.
First time growing beets too. So we'll see how well they grow here, how well they react to. I use a organic mushroom compost. And the mushroom compost, it does really well with the leafy greens. So we'll see how it does with some of the root vegetables.
Wow. And so basically what I got from that was that, over time you've experimented with what would work, and then you kind of like, once you determine what worked, you add it to your rotation, I guess, your crop rotation moving forward. And you said what?
I said what works and also what sells.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so what sells too is important for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you work to determine what sells? Like, where are you selling at?
So right now I'm at Easter Market solely. I did apply to another market, but that didn't work out. So this year I'm only at Easter Market, only on Sundays during the summertime, and then probably come November I'll switch back to Saturdays. And then again in January, I think last year I switched back in March to Sunday. So that'll be my schedule. And then I also don't work on holiday weekends. And that's more strategic. It's slow foot traffic, so then there are less sales, and I have a limited amount of time as it is. So I don't typically work on. It's not worth it for me to work on holidays. Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any particular challenges that you faced as a Black woman in working in agriculture? I mean, it seems like it's a rarity.
Well, in this area, in Prince George's County, there are a lot of African American farmers, and I would say there are a lot of Black women farmers in this area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, if I go outside of this area, yeah, it would be more of a rarity, but I would say not for me because of the area that I live in.
Okay, so just by the very nature of the demographics in the area, it sounds like there's a larger Black population, so therefore it's resulting in more Black farmers.
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, what does diversity in farming mean to you?
Well, I would say there's certain things to take into consideration. Like, for example, last year, I grew a cotton plant, and for you, Mom, that was kind of controversial. And I know for some other Black people that I mentioned this to, they were like, "What? Why would you grow cotton?" And I just wanted to see, like, what is this what is our fear about this specific plant as somebody that
Mm-hmm.
grows? And so when I put it in the ground, I definitely cried, but I came to the understanding, at that moment, that it's not necessarily our hatred or fear around the plant. It's not really about the plant. It's about people would have stolen us to plant anything, and they did. They stole
Yeah.
us for sugarcane, and they stole us for tobacco. It's not about the plant. It's about the fact that we knew how to grow these things, and stealing people basically. So
Mm-hmm.
I think once I came to that, understanding, it was healing in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
now I know for some people they were like, "That's bull," and that's your experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my experience. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so I
Okay.
think the diversity in growing is just understanding different cultures. And that's one of the things that I try to do at Easter Market with some of the plants. You can go to most nurseries and find plants that are, I would say, typical to the area. So
Mm-hmm.
peppers and onions, but ones that are ones that are culturally different are the ones that I try to focus on, in addition
Mm-hmm.
to some of the basic plants.
Yes.
And so, for example, like last year, I had ashwagandha, which is not a plant that you would typically find at a nursery. I also
Mm-hmm.
tried bitter melon, which is also another plant that is not really popular in the States because it has like a bitter taste, but it is
Mm-hmm.
something that a lot of Caribbean people like. And so these are the types of plants that I'm looking to grow, and I'm looking to expand my market beyond just like a basil. And there's different types of basils that you can grow as well too.
Yeah. Wow. And I love basil. I love basil.
Yeah, I sell a lot of
Um.
basils and mints. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like growing stuff, um, I prefer to try to grow and learn about just different plants that are of our culture, but we may not necessarily be exposed to them because we don't grow them here in the States.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, Darlene, when you look back, how has your journey, evolved over the years? Your journey with the farming and the beekeeping and the chicken raising and all of it.
Well, I mean, I started small. I think part of it was just planning. Like
Mm-hmm.
I planned most of what I'm doing was planned outside of like the chickens. The chickens I added on later. But in terms of like growing, I planned it because I've always wanted to own my own property, but I had to plan that out. It took seven years to just purchase the home. And at
Yes.
the time, I'm throwing numbers out there, but in the DC area, when I first started, again at the event management software company, I didn't make very much money. I made about $30,000 a year, which on the scheme of things in Washington DC is like nothing. And I
Yes.
rented a room at a college friend's home, and so I was like, well, I want to be able to purchase a home. How do I do that? And
Mm-hmm.
so I basically had to, figure it out basically. So I basically ran some numbers, and what that meant was that the job that I was at, I needed to leave. I needed to
Yes.
leave and go somewhere else where they're, paying me more. And so I did that. I made a $15,000 jump, and then I stayed there for a year. 11 months actually, and then I
Mm-hmm.
made another, I think it was like another $15,000 jump, and then I went up again. And so basically the banks, I think the formula in the banks, they'll give you I think 3 or 4 times your salary. And so
Mm-hmm.
that meant in this area that I had to make a lot of money to purchase a
Wow.
home,
Mm-hmm.
or a home that I wanted that had some property. I got lucky
Mm-hmm.
with this particular location and home because it ended up being there were some issues with it, but the issues were fixed before the closing. So it ended up working out for me, and so I didn't ended up really working out during the timing of the market crash and being able to. Which, hey, Nacho, stop! Nachos wants attention. So it ended up working out for me in terms of purchasing the property and being able to move forward with the purchase of the home. And then in terms of the development of the farming and growing area, I actually had a dream about it. I had this dream
Mm-hmm.
that I bought this rundown home and I fixed it up, and I basically was planting plants in the front yard and doing some yoga and things like that. So I'm trying to make the dream come true basically.
Yeah. So like manifesting it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And again, that would happen several years. I think that dream was 10 years ago. It was a while ago.
So along those lines, where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years? I mean, have you had any recent dreams to kind of depict in that?
Well, look, sadly, my dreams are like they are what's the word, prophetic, but the best way to describe it is that I can't control what kind of dreams I dream about. They just
Yeah, for sure.
and it would be great if I'm like, can I dream about these numbers, these lotto numbers? Yeah. So,
Oh boy.
yeah, but in terms, like, I have my own like financial goals. Like, it would be great if the farm could rent the property from me so that I could pay the house off.
Yeah.
So that would be great. And so, and that would take 5 to 7 years, but it's not there yet. So I'm working on getting the farm there.
Yeah.
I'm also working on, and it's mainly because in this area, the it's just the prices keep going up. Everybody knows we're feeling the crunch right now. But it would be great to be able to pay the house down with to have the house pay for itself. I would also like to potentially do this again, but in another country. I think having a grow space, but also a space where you can do art, a space where you can do wellness, a space where you can just be, and then also where we're targeting a specific group. I know that may be a little bit more difficult overseas because of laws and things like that, and right now visas and all this other things. But
yes,
you know, when the timing is correct, it just happens. You know,
yeah.
Yeah. So those are some plans that I have in the future.
Okay, so do you have a favorite crop or plant that you love growing the absolute most?
Well, my favorite plant to like eat is Swiss chard.
Okay.
I really like Swiss chard. Again, because it lasts and I can go outside, pick what I need, and then go back in the house, cook it, and be done.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my favorite. The second favorite last summer was kale. I really like the curly kale, but I like the purple one. It's like a deep, dark purple kale. And it's been difficult to find seeds for it. So I'm like, where are the seeds? Where are the purple seed kales? Or sometimes it'll say it's this deep, dark purple, and you'll grow it, and it's a different variety. So yeah, basically been anytime I see the purple kale seeds, I'll be on the lookout for those. I like those. I like the and I also like to grow in terms of like diversity. I also like to grow the darker purple varieties of most everything. So dark purple tomatoes, dark purple jalapenos.
Oh yeah.
And then dark purple carrots. So they tend to have more antioxidants, and they tend to be a little bit sweeter depending on
Yeah. I love the purples, those dark purple tomatoes. Man, they are so good.
Yeah.
I really love them.
Hopefully we'll get some this year.
Yeah, so as we're winding down, I'm going to bring this last question to you. What legacy are you building, and what do you want people to remember about your journey, Darylyn?
You know, that's an interesting question that I have not really thought about.
I know, especially young people don't tend to think about legacy.
I mean, it would be great to have, you know, some kids, but I'm not trying to, what's the word? I don't want to struggle, right? And so, and right now, I'm like with the political climate and things like that. I just want to make sure that when the time happens that, you know, everybody's well taken care of or well fed, we have, you know, roof over our head, but also I don't want to have to change my lifestyle or sacrifice my lifestyle to, you know, have kids. And the reason why I brought that up is because people assume that that's legacy. So, but I think the other thing that I've noticed that I hadn't noticed before is that, you know, people associate me with like growing and environmental stuff. And I actually kind of discovered that when I worked for the event management software company back in 2010, 2011, where people were asking me like, hey, what's wrong with my plant? And they would come sit at my desk and I'm like, what is going on? I didn't label myself as a plant person. You know, other people.
So people bringing their plants,
correct.
Their plant troubles to you.
And they're like, hey, can you look at it? And they're like, what? And I was like, wait a minute. I got to finish this project. Give me like So I looked at it and it was molded at like the root or whatever. So I was like, girl, just throw it away because it's, you know,
yeah.
you have to like cut it off. Anyway, it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So people, and I think that was kind of a realization too, to like focus towards, you know, plants and environment and subject. So I think I've already started to leave a legacy.
Yes.
While I'm here, you know, I'll say I'm getting my flowers while I'm here.
Yeah.
And I guess while I'm gone, I don't know. I don't know if I really, it's not that I don't want to care, but I don't think I really care. I'm like, I'm trying to live now. I would say that's the legacy that I have.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to live and explore now.
Yeah.
And that's probably why, you know, that's why I do a lot of things. I want to live, I want to explore now. I want to travel now. I want to do all these different things now. So.
For sure. Because that's all you have is now. We don't have we don't have this future that we think we have because we are not in control. We're not in control.
And anything can happen. Knock on marble.
For sure. Anything can happen. So we should be, you know, doing whatever we can do right now in this moment, man. And if that includes, you know, the travel and doing whatever those things that you mentioned, then like, so be it.
Yeah. And again, I try to plan, but usually my plans are like they ball them up and throw them out. Like it's not happening when you want it. It's gonna happen when the timing happens. And I think that's basically what happens when I procured this home. So everything worked out. I was like, okay, cool.
Is there anything else that you like to leave? Any message or last words that you would like to leave for our audience today, Daryl?
I would say if you're on the fence, because we do have a lot of people that come up to my booth and it's like, and they'll speak these words, these affirmations to my plants saying, oh, I would kill my plants. And I'm like, can you imagine if you went up to somebody and said that? So I'm like, they can hear you. That's what I say to people. I'm like, they can hear you. So, you know, we want to think positive about growing. Okay. Especially since the plants that I mostly grow are food plants, and then we're going to eat that, you know, energy. So we just want to make sure that when we say things to our plants, especially ones that we're growing, we say positive things, and then we just positive things. So I think I'll leave people with that message.
And you know what? I sing to my plant. I'm not eating this plant, but I sure do sing to it. Ziggy, I love you, Ziggy. This is Mr. Ziggy, and I got a spider plant sitting over there behind me. And so I sing to the plants, and I think it's positive. Basically, I mean, they're growing, and you know, just share.
You sing to your plants.
Yeah, for sure.
Talk to them, but nicely. And they even did a study with like rice plates where people were talking negative to the rice, talking negative to one rice plate and positive to the other rice plate. The one that they were talking negative to was like moldy and stuff. And so everything has like energy. So
exactly. So these are living things. They are living things.
Especially when you're consuming it.
Oftentimes we don't necessarily think of them as living things, but they really are living things. And so how you treat them matters. And so thank you, Geraldine, for showing up today and showing out for Lorie Out Loud. And in particular, our Diversity is a Gift segment. I hope today's conversation reminded you all of the strength that grows from the soil of purpose, identity, and community. Our guest has shown us that farming is more than planting crops, it's planting hope, heritage, and healing. Diversity is truly a gift, and today we saw how it flourishes on the land and in the hands of those who dare to cultivate it. For more information about Chateau Cocoa, go to chateaucocoa.com. That's ChateauXCocoa.com. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep celebrating the beauty in every story. I'm Lorie Jean Akanbi.
Lorie.